Hey, welcome back to Photography for the Rest of Us. My name's Cari and this is a Frightening Friday, which means today we are taking spooky ghost pictures. Alright guys, so this is one of my very favorite techniques to shoot. It's something that I perfected, or at least I worked really hard on last year. And Nora actually requested that we do this for Frightening Fridays. So what we're gonna do is a long exposure using two lights. So I'm using two strobes. This effect could totally be achieved with a Speedlight and a constant light, or maybe an LED. So I'm using two strobes. They're gonna be on two different channels. So one of them is gonna fire and the other one actually isn't going to fire. I have an octabox. It's a 2-foot octabox on one, so it gives me a nice soft light. Honestly, I'd probably be really down with having a gridded strip box with this, but tonight we're working against time because we're losing daylight. Specifically, it's getting dark very quickly. So I'm just gonna work with a octabox. So what I'm gonna do first is set up an exposure, a nice long exposure where I like the background, but the Speedlight is also a good exposure. So this takes a couple of trial and error, and I'm gonna let you guys be there for that. So give me a second and get that set up. All right, Miss Nora, let's go. Sage, can you be in charge of this light? Because I'm gonna probably have to have you move it a couple times. I won't see you if you stand over here, it's too dark. Here, stand on the side of it. Okay, focusing. All right, Nora. Okay, so Miss Nora, can you stand right here for me, right under that light? I know you guys can't see us very well. So what we're going to do here is I have my camera set up on a tripod, and that's not necessary for this part with the Speedlight, but it is necessary for the next part. So I'm just gonna start there because it's easier. So let's take a shot and get that dialed in. I'm gonna turn the modeling light on so you guys can see her back down there. Nora, can you take a little step backwards for me? A little bit more. There we go. All right, that looks good. All right, let's see. Now, tricks with this one is when you're working with really low light situations, sometimes it's very hard to focus. And like right this second, it's not so bad because I've got my, it's not so bad because I've got the modeling light on, but the modeling light isn't going to be in the picture later. So what I'm gonna do, my little trick for that is I'm going to set my focus. All right, so I'm gonna start by auto-focusing and getting her really in focus, and then what I'm gonna do is actually turn off autofocus so that it stays right there. And let's take a shot and see where we're at. So this is a very long exposure, and if you didn't know how long 10 or 15 or 30 seconds is, you find out real fast when you start doing long exposures. Okay, I am pretty happy with that overall. I think we can see some nice light in that. I might go just a hair longer. I'm gonna go to 13 seconds. I was at 10. So right now I'm at 13 seconds at f4, ISO 100, and I've got a Speedlight on about half, I keep saying that, a strobe on about half power. "13 seconds is forever." There we go. I think that looks pretty good. She looks like she's standing out there. And I'm sorry, bright light in my face. And while we can see that I'm gonna turn the modeling lamp back on. While we can see that she's standing in a spooky path or whatever, it's not that scary yet, right? So we're gonna up the scary factor by like 30, 100, I don't know, whatever sounds dramatic. So that is where our constant light comes in. And what I'm gonna do is just use a strobe here. I'm gonna put it on a different channel so that it doesn't fire and it just has that modeling light on. And for added effect, I'm gonna put a green gel on that light. So give me a second, let me get that set up and let's see how that looks. All right. Okay, Nora, do you remember how we did this? And you just ran really fast into the light and then held still? Okay, Nora. Ooh, let me turn the modeling light all the way up. Okay, so I am going to turn the modeling light up pretty high, and I'm gonna check my exposure again. Nora, can you just come stand really still right here? All right, so now we have our second light set, and I'm gonna set my exposure with the second light separately because I know the strobe is okay, and I can always turn the power up on the strobe a little bit, and I can also turn down my modeling light. So if you are using a constant LED, the advantage of that is that you can turn the power up or down, but I'm gonna play with the exposure a little bit, and we'll see how we go there. All right, Nora, hold nice and still. 1, 2, 3. Just hold still, baby. I'm gonna have to back that light up because I can see it in my frame. All right, let's see how that exposure is. Ooh, yeah, very bright. Let's try one more time. We're gonna back this up a whole bunch. Bring it this way. Okay, one more time, just stand still. Okay, so that was way too bright. We're gonna adjust and try one more time. The disadvantage of shooting, with long exposure is that you have to wait a really long time in between shots, and I think in the course of that we have lost most of our light, but I think it'll still turn out okay. I'm excited overall. Oh, it's still a little bright. I think that looks pretty good. I'm a little less than impressed on the amount of green that gel is giving me. I think that I could probably get a lot more from a different gel, but this is what we've got. And this looks a lot more ghostly, right? If you look at that shot, it's a little bright. We're gonna bring it down just a little bit more. But there is a ladybug on my camera. We're gonna bring it down just a little bit more. But it's starting to get that spooky vibe, right? Because she's not in focus. So what we're gonna do is combine those two things to get a really cool image. So give me just one more second. Nora, can you go back to where the strobe was? Hey, Nora, can you face the light just a little bit? There you go. But look at me as well. There you go. And then what I want you to do is as soon as the light goes off, I want you to walk up to the center here and then hold really still for me, okay? And you've got about 10 seconds, so I'm gonna count it for you. Okay, you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold still, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there's my click. I do find that counting totally helps the model. Oh, that turned out great. So if you see here, we've got two images. We've got, whew, into my eyes. We've got two images forming. We've got one that's really, really crisp, where we've got one that's really, really crisp and she's totally in focus, and then one that's all eerie and green, and that's because of the two exposures. So I'm gonna play with this a little bit. I think as I'm going to flag my constant light, that green light. And what that means is I'm basically just gonna take a black piece of cardboard and then put it on the side of the light so that it's not bleeding over into another section. And actually, if you look on the video right now, Taylor, can you hold the flag up? You see how that blocks the light behind her? Really, really good example of how a flag works. So what we're gonna do is put that flag up, and I'm gonna play with the exposure a little bit. I think I'm gonna open the aperture a little bit and maybe probably keep about 10, maybe up to like 13 seconds and see where we're at. So let's play with it a little. Sage, can you also turn the power of the strobe up maybe like 2 clicks? All right, Nora, start back at the beginning. You got this. Good. 1, 2, 3. You gotta wait for the flash, silly. All right, hold nice and still. All right, let's see where we're at on that exposure. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. Pretty good. I would like a little bit more ambient, but I think the problem is that we just don't have any more ambient left here. Like, I think it's just dark out. So let's have a little bit of fun with it now that we've kind of got our settings where we want them. All right, Miss Nora, this time I want you to run at me and like roar, okay? All right, ready? Set, go. 3, 4, 5, good, hold still. No, you gotta hold still back there. 6, 7, 8, put your dog down. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Did it click already? There we go. There we go. See how creepy and scary that one is? That looks awesome, babe. Really creepy. All right, well, let's play with it. We're just gonna take a couple of shots just like that. I know you can only see the top of my head. We're gonna take a couple more shots like that, and then be sure to stick around because we're gonna take a couple more shots like that, and then be sure to stick around because after this, we're going to go straight into Lightroom and edit these photos, and we'll show you some fun and creepy ways to make them even creepier. I hope you're enjoying this technique. If you are, hit the like button for me. And if you haven't already, you're crazy. Please subscribe to my channel because we are doing fun stuff like this all October. So let's take a couple more pictures and then we're gonna head into Lightroom. Okay, like 3 more shots, you guys, and we'll call it. Okay, so Nora, can you hold the dog with the other hand? And then moving looked good when you went like this, but you can't do it too much because then we miss out on you, okay? Also, I think the LED so I'm gonna turn the LED for the video off for a minute because it's affecting the shot just a little, I think, and I wanna see what the difference is. So you guys are gonna be in the dark for a minute. Okay, here we go. Ready, set, go. A little closer, stop. Good, drop the dog. You're blocking your face. Good, move your arms a little bit. Good, almost there, almost there. Any day. Always count for your model, because otherwise you end up like me and I'm a terrible... Oh, there we go, that was exactly what the problem was. You guys, the video is what was killing it. Isn't that amazing and scary and awesome? All right, couple more, Nora, that was so good. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more for this one. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Right over here. All right, stop. Okay, put one arm up, this arm, yep. Good, ooh, and now do this with your dress. Your dress, there you go. Okay, put your arm down, hold still. Almost there. There we go. Oh, that's better. That is crazy spooky. All right, last one. Let's do this. It's getting windy. All right. It's okay. You're almost there. She's blowing away. All right, Nora, you ready? Here we go. Hey, Sage, can you back up a little bit more? I'm just trying to get a horizontal shot. And then turn your power up a little bit because I did that. All right. Whoop. All right, there we go. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, come on up here. Scary. Good, good. Rawr, scary Nora. Okay, hold still. Just for that end. Ooh. You wanna do one more for me? You missed the light. You guys, though, we're getting the red light from the sky behind. It looks freaking amazing. Why are you not turning on? Sage, can you turn the modeling light on? It's okay. All right, there we go. All right, you ready, Nora? Okay, I'm gonna push go and then flash it. Nora, don't move it, and then you can flash it. Don't move until it flashes, okay? Ready, set, go. Okay. Okay, now move your dress and stuff. Good, now come up closer. Good, scary face. Move your face towards the light a little. Good. Oh yeah, that looks great. Okay, call it a day. All right, you guys, so we are done shooting for now. We are gonna go inside, drink some hot chocolate, and edit these scary photos. Honestly, if you were looking at what I was looking at, which I know you were, because I'm gonna put them up on the screen when I edit the video, they turned out great, just straight out of camera, but we can add a little bit more oomph to them in Lightroom. It was just some simple, basic techniques, and we can have a really, really good time with it. Hey you guys, welcome back into the studio. I am so excited to start editing our ghost pictures. Today I am going to use Adobe Lightroom Classic, which is the desktop version of Lightroom. I could go into Photoshop and have like all sorts of fun with these pictures, but I'm going to stay in Lightroom so it's a little more accessible for everybody. I am using the desktop version because that is what I like editing with. I am a travel photographer and I don't always have access to really good internet, so if I tried to do everything off the cloud, like I wouldn't be able to edit things a lot. So it's just what I'm used to at this point. Now let's get started. We are using a lot of selective brushes on here, so I'm going to start with some general edits and then we're going to get really specific so that we can really get that vibe that we're looking for. Okay, so here is the image that I picked to edit. This is actually a horizontally shot image that I cropped in because I really like the way the arms are kind of waving on either side of the face like that. So I'm going to go through real quick. Let's see, I'm going to up the highlights and the shadows and maybe the blacks a little bit. And the whites maybe just a tiny bit, but I don't want it to get too blown out in the back. Now, I know this looks a little crazy, but what we're going for here is kind of an ethereal, like creepy, scary ghost look. So I kind of want everything to look a little bit not real, right? Like that's the whole goal here, is not real. So I'm gonna up the texture a little bit because I like how it brings out the fingers and the lace in the dress. But I'm gonna go down with the clarity a little bit so that it doesn't get too crunchy. What do you think, dehaze? Maybe a tiny bit of dehaze. I don't want to go crazy like last time. For our axe murderer shoot, we went way crazy with the dehaze and it looked awesome. All right, tonal curve. I might play with it just a tiny bit just to get a little bit more contrast in there, but honestly, I don't think it needs a ton. What do you think? A little tiny baby S-curve? Yeah, sure, it doesn't hurt anything. All right, we're gonna play with the saturation sliders and stuff later, but I think I might bring the luminance down on the green a little, yeah, down a little bit on the green. And then I want the hue to go a little bit more yellow. It's kind of leaning towards the blue for me right now, so I'm gonna go a little more yellow. I like that better. Let's up these just a little. I guess we're not doing it later, we're gonna do it now. That's just how that works. All right, and then what I want to do is some split toning, just like I did for the axe murderer photo. So I want to go with a little bit of a green highlight, because green is creepy for me. And then for the shadows, I actually think I'm going to leave them red, and I'm going to bring the shadows up into the red. All right, and so let's just look at a before and after there. So the one there on the left, the before, is straight out of camera, and then this is kind of what we've done to it already, and it looks like we're making it a lot brighter, but bear with me because we're gonna adjust things from there. All right, down here I don't think there's really anything we need to do. We might put a little bit of a whatever. I think it's creepy without it, but we might come back to vignetting. Okay, so what I really want to get into though is the, yeah, I'm happy with the exposure. What I really wanted to get into is some selective brushes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make this really, really creepy, and I'm actually going to completely take away her feet in the background so it looks as though she is floating. And we're just going to use the heel brush on that because since everything is supposed to look hazy and crazy anyway, I think that it's totally fine. All right, so see, no feet. She's now a ghost and she's floating, which is funny because she's got feet in the front one, right? I don't know, I think it's cool. Maybe this is not your cup of tea, but this is where I want to go today. And then I'm also going to take out her shadow because ghosts don't have shadows, right? There we go. It's easy peasy. We're just using our little spot healing brush. It's so smart. I know everybody goes into Photoshop for these things, but I think Lightroom does a really good job, especially when you're not worried about being like really, really perfect. Okay, so now she has no shadow, no feet, and I'm gonna come into my dehaze, and I'm going to dehaze things, and I'm gonna just increase the amount of haze in some of this area so that it just looks a little bit more fuzzy. See how that's adding smoke? Now, I don't want to go too crazy. You see how this has gotten like, ooh, sorry. See how this has gotten all sorts of crazy in the grass over here? Like, this is not what I'm going for. This looks crazy, but not in a good way. So what I'm going to do is come back into my dehaze and select that one. And we're going to come over to the erase button, and we're going to go through and just kind of erase it off of the grass a little bit. And then I'm also going to bring it up just a little so it's not quite as much. We just want a little bit of crazy, not all of the crazy. All right? Okay. That looks better because we're going to darken it as well. All right, and then before I get into the sides and the ghost and stuff, I want to work on her a little bit more in the background. Also, you notice how like completely crisp she is? That's because we used a strobe. It froze that motion even though we had a really long exposure. One of the advantages of off-camera flash. So I'm going to go into saturation, and I'm going to desaturate her face. I'm going to take all the color out of her face so that she looks more like a spooky ghost. Okay. And then I'm going to come down into her arm. Now, you'll find when you're shooting that sometimes you have a harder time like desaturating a section. I know this whole selective color thing is kind of passé, right? People don't do it anymore, but I'm doing it for a different reason than just making like a little girl's eyes blue, so I think it's fine. All right, so I want to show you guys, if we come into the arm here, rather than desaturate it, it kind of turns purple. You see how it kind of isn't the right color now? Let me erase that part. So we're going to do something a little bit different for the arm, and the reason that it's doing that is because it's behind the green ghost, right? So instead of fully desaturating her arm, what we're going to do is come in here, and we're going to bring our saturation back up, and we're going to drop our sliders down to the green and blue, and we are just going to blend her arm into that ghost. So now it doesn't have any skin tone to it. It really is just, ooh, what am I doing? Crazy. Did not mean to hit the hue. Now it's just kind of blended in with the color with the ghost. See that? Okay, so now we have her no feet floating ghost figure in the background. So let's play with the rest of the areas. So I'm going to bring the exposure down over here. Try and kind of blend everything in just a little bit more. I like that the sidewalk is glowing green, so like that doesn't bother me so much. I don't know, I might not like that dehaze over there. Should we take it out? Let's see. Oh, I think that's better. I think that's better. Maybe just a tiny bit of dehaze right underneath where we took out our feet, just to make it a little, yeah, that's probably good. Okay, I think that's better. All right, and then I want to come through and I really want to make her, the scary ghost part, pop. So let's go up here and let's try playing with the saturation and the contrast a little bit. So I'm going to up the saturation a little bit and up the contrast a little bit, and let's see what that does to our ghost. I think it's delayed. Oh, okay. So our saturation is getting a little bit crazy bones, but I think we are getting there. I like it. Okay, I'm gonna bring the saturation down just a hair, and maybe bring the tone. I like it more fake. More fake. All right, and what do you think? Shadows up just a hair, bring out those hands a little more. All right, I'm liking that, I'm liking that. And then I'm just gonna bring the highlights down a little bit. There it is. I'm gonna bring the highlights down a little bit just in this one section of her dress. Because she was wearing a white dress, the light really caught it, which was great for us, but it does give us some hot spots sometimes. So just bring the down just a hair. I don't hate that. I kind of like that. Okay, so there are a few things that I would come in and probably manipulate in Photoshop, but overall I am pretty happy with this picture. And then if I wanted to do kind of some more with it, the only other thing that maybe I would do, I'm going to create a virtual copy. Let's see a before and after real quick. Oops, that's not the before and after. This should be a before and after. All right, so we didn't do a ton, but I kind of made it a little creepier in the background, and then I made the ghost glow just a little bit more, which I like. And then let's go, the only other thing that I was kind of thinking maybe we could play with is I could crop this to a different kind of horizontal. So it was cropped vertical from a horizontal. So let's go this way and kind of get in nice and tight. I was showing these images to a friend of mine, and she said that she kept wanting to zoom in on Nora's face. So let's do that. All right. So there is another crop that might look really good. And you know, we can play with other images. This is another one that I did an edit on that was a little bit different, that I really like how just completely transparent the ghosts look in that. But really, like, this is a technique that you can do whatever you might want with, and you can have a lot of fun with it. So you guys, that is my little editing session. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something, and hopefully this is a new lighting technique that you're excited to try. I am excited to see your images. Please use the hashtag photos for the rest of us so that I can see what you're doing and what you're up to. As always, if you had fun with the video, please hit the like button, comment below, let me know what you liked about it, let me know what you hated about it. It's fine, don't worry about it. I can't wait to see you next Frightening Friday. We're actually going to go completely in the opposite direction and do something a little bit more glamorous and fancy for next time. Like I said, I'm trying to get some Halloween costumes, so not all of them are scary. Sometimes people want to be pretty princesses or glamour witches or whatever. So we're going to do something a little bit different next week. I can't wait to see you then. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. You made it all the way through this crazy long video, so you might as well just stick around. And I look forward to seeing your images on Instagram with hashtag photos for the rest of us. Happy shooting and happy Halloween, you guys.